Because I've even had my own employees say, why don't we do this? It's like, cool, I can do that. I need 40% of you to raise your hand and say that you quit today, right? Because there's not enough income to do it. There's not enough income to do it, right? So, okay. And none of those companies are getting, at some point you want to sell stuff so that you can go and make something else. None of those people are getting rich, right? Let me just give some of you people a bit of a business tip. Never follow the person who's running behind you in a race. So sometimes some of the companies and the people that they compare me to, I just go, what? That's a company with 12 employees that makes $3 million a year. That's not my goal. That's not my goal. My goal is to be big enough so that I can do Superman and Batman, maybe Star Wars someday, and Spider-Man and Wolverine. They're not going to let me do it if I do that other thing. I mean, maybe I can get a small little niche and I can sell it in the corner. Okay. But that's, I'm trying to sell the best quality at the cheapest price. That's just who my mind is, because I'm always trying to sell to the 16-year-old Todd McFarlane who didn't have a lot of money and just wanted the most bang for his buck. Like, that's all I wanted, right? I just wanted like the most chocolate bar for my dollar, because all I had was $1. And if somebody offered me 12 ounces and somebody offered me 14 ounces, I would take the 14-ounce chocolate bar for $1. That's it. And I understand there's Lady Godiva, and I understand there's See's candies. And I know they're more expensive and they probably taste better. I don't have the money for that. I'm 16 years old. I don't have the money for that.
Okay, so, you may not realize how close you are to those higher end figures. Just the way they look, like the sculpt and paint, just looking at sculpt and paint. Because I see people make those comparisons too. They'll compare your $20 figure to a $90 figure, right? Yep. Why the hell would anybody in their right mind do that, aside from the fact that they honestly believe that they are really close in quality?
Right.
So that's what's happening, is that with what you've put into it, you're already getting yourself really close to that high bar. So all it's missing now is just a couple of points of articulation here, a couple of extra hand and effect accessories, and then boom, you have a $90 quality figure. You're just really close to it. But but again,
right. And Russ, what I keep saying is that what we'd have is a $90 toy at a $30 price point, so I could embarrass those companies. But the problem is that a lot of the stores don't want the $30 price point. So that's where now Kickstarter.com, we may be able to now start doing those, right? That essentially that the Walmart and Kmart you get the regular version, and then maybe on the .coms we supersize it, for lack of a better term, right? We do the deluxe, and we add some of that stuff that you're talking about, or some of the other people are talking about. But I can't do it at the volume I need to be relevant in the toy business at those prices. There's nobody that's doing it at those prices that's overly relevant in terms of being able to sort of sell and get their phone ringing all the time and have people phoning them saying, hey, we got this new product. We want to know whether you want the license. And the reason they're phoning me to say you want the license, usually because Hasbro and Mattel passed, but it's because they know I can also get it at Walmart and Target. That's a value to those to those big studios, right? They're not sitting there saying, hey, we're going to spend $200 million on this movie. Let's go find a bunch of niche players. They do that as add-ons to the Hasbros and the Mattels. Then they go, good, okay, we got our tonnage program, and now we can carve it up and start doing our art stuff, right? I want to be somewhere in between. I want to be that weird hybrid. My entire method has always been, can I build a Cadillac and sell it at Ford prices, right? That's it.
Yeah.
And I'll let somebody else build a Cadillac and sell you at Cadillac prices, and let them do their job. My job is, and I've been able to survive for 25 years doing it, give them the most and ask for the least you can, right? And because I'm not a private company, I don't have to maximize profits. I can do that. Does it mean that all the choices I've made along the way have been the right choices? Of course not, right? Of course, I've made hundreds and hundreds of mistakes I wish I could correct. But I've done enough right. We've done enough right at our company that we're here 25 years later against the giants. The giants have not been able to slay us, right? I go up against the giants. When I'm on a peg at Walmart and Target, right? You can't imagine what that victory is that Hasbro doesn't have that peg and Mattel doesn't have that peg. Those are billion-dollar empires, and they don't have that peg. Punk ass Todd has that peg, right? That's the victory. When you rage against the machine a little bit, that's the victory. So I could go in the corner and become art house, and maybe someday I'll do that, and I'll just go fine. I'm done fighting sort of the system. But that's just not where I'm at. My head's not at there, and that's not what we're doing. And
no, that's one thing I love about your whole approach and everything that you do is that you have those core moral. It's this moral foundation of wanting to really put into to make everybody happy. You have your own motives behind doing making the best product you can make while making that 16-year-old Todd happy and being able to afford it and everything. And
I never, Russ, there's not one day that I forget that I was poor. Right. And so I am grateful for the life that I've been given, and I don't take it for granted. But I assume that I see my own children, they're not going to live the same life my wife and I are. Right. And we try to train them not to get used to it, because you're not going to replicate some of the luck that dad has had. Okay. So I have to look at sort of the blue collar worker that's just going out and just working as hard as they can, and they've got limited resources. They may even have less limited resources now with the lockdown, and you have to make their dollar stretch. Mm-hmm. And so what can you do? The answer is, I guess I could do some super cool $80 toy, or can I get my $20 toy down to $18? That to me is way more, I think, worthwhile for me to do, is to try to save the average consumer $2 than trying to figure out how to get 60 more out of them, right? Like and from just a branding position, the more people that are buying your product, which they will at $10 and $15, the more people that know that you exist. Why don't you want people to know you exist? I've always said I'd rather have 1 million people give me $1 than 10 people give me 100,000. Because although they both add up to $1 million, one case you've got 10 people that know what you're doing, and the other case you've got 1 million people that know what you're doing. There's a value in having 1 million people know what you do. There's a value.
I've had that mentality myself, and I just got to say, from my personal experience, for me it hasn't really worked that way. I'm not using this interview to plug my Patreon account, but we're talking about crowdfunding. It's a relative topic. I have my own crowdfunding thing, and I have different tiers. There's a baby crying in the background. Probably one of my viewers, because I brought up my Patreon. But the thing is that I do notice that if I have higher tiers and I offer more, I'm more likely to get someone to contribute more than to actually gain 10 more at the $1 level.
Correct.
And I've noticed other crowdfunding has just done a whole lot better, and they post a lot less than I do. So it's hard to find that mark, because I think it's kind of, I think people devalue things based on that number sometimes, even though they don't realize that they're getting a good deal.
Well, Russ, it's scary. Like, every consumer should be able to make that decision for themselves, right? So, and it behooves us to basically make it worth them stopping and giving it to us, right? So I've said before, as a businessman, sometimes they give me tax breaks, which again, I don't understand. But I've always said, instead of giving me a tax break, why don't you actually give it to people that basically need it more than my corporation or me personally? Give it to people who have not as much money. And if you give it to them, then they'll go out and they'll spend it, and then they'll buy my product. If they buy my product, I'm going to have to hire more people because I have demand, right? Now, I guess the risk of that is if I don't put out a good product, then there's not going to be any demand. That's on me. That should be on me, right? That I should have to put out that's the reason why you shouldn't make it easy for me and give me like so many breaks. You should basically make me work hard for the people to say, I'm going to give you the best I possibly can, and let the cream rise to the top. And then if they support it, then I go, woo, we're making money because I'm making a quality product that they enjoy, right? Because the other option is that, and I've had this happen before, and we're sort of digressing a bit, but I've gotten tax breaks for my corporation, my toy company, and then I walk into my CFO and I say, hey, the government just gave us a big tax break. Are we going to hire any more people? And the answer is no. And you know why? Because there's no more demand for it than there was the day before. I'm not like, that money's meant for me to invest and go and hire people, but like, why? I've got a machine that works perfectly. What would create more jobs is more demand for my product. But the only way I'm going to get more demand for my product is people have the money in their pocket. So I keep sort of saying, give it to them, and then let me make it so that I have to compete and make the best toy possible and the most value possible. And if I fail, then it's on me. And if I succeed, then that means that I gave enough stuff out there. That's and so that mentality is always the same. How do I survive against Fortune 500 companies? Just make a better product at a cheaper price. That's it. That's the recipe. That's all I've done for 25 years.
The more you've been putting in there, and the more you've been putting into the figures, the more.
Here's why I can put. And Russ, here's why I can put more into my figures, because I'm not a public company.
That's
right? Oh shoot, that's a big. You don't even know how big that advantage is.
Oh,
right?
I have an idea.
That means that anytime, anywhere, if I choose to not want to make money, I can say, hey, and they're going, Todd, your $2 profit, you just spent it on 55 different paint applications. Cool. My company. Cool. Do it. I don't have to please anybody else other than me, which means I can beat them at their own game. I will always be able to make a better toy than Hasbro and Mattel. You know why? Because I'll just outspend them.
So I have a feeling that you did that with this Golden Armor Wonder Woman, which the review, I already recorded my review of her and everything. But one thing I found fascinating is that I always thought, I was under the assumption that gold is a difficult color to work with. A lot of people don't understand that different colors have different chemical properties to them.
Yep.
And they react differently, and some are more brittle than others. But gold paint and plastic has always been a tricky one. As a collector, I've seen a lot of figures break with gold plastic or paint come off and get ruined. And this is surprisingly incredibly durable. You have it in every crevice on the knee joints and everywhere on this thing. And
so you know what the
feel like, well, then, like, what are all these other people been doing with their gold figures? Like, how?
So I tell you exactly what the big guys would do with that for the most part. They wouldn't paint it gold. They would mold it in gold plastic. And I got to tell you, gold plastic doesn't look as good as gold paint. So now there's like probably 40 parts on her, and I have to paint the 40 parts. So does that cost me more money? Of course it does. Does it look cooler? I think so. Does it mean I make less on that figure? Yes, I make less. Do I care? No. Right? I don't have to maximize my profit, so I can then do a better toy that somebody will enjoy, that then they'll say, wow, that was a cool figure. Who was that? Oh, that was that company, McFarlane Toys. Hey, you know what? Maybe next time they do another toy, I might take a look at it, right? That's where it's going to pay off. It's not. I don't have to get it in that toy. I can get it in goodwill. Somewhere along the line, giving goodwill to people, giving value to people, people will remember that. So.
And that's basically what I was mentioning before about the Japanese import figures. It's like, this is like, the quality of this reminds me of a Japanese import figure. It's just pretty amazing. I dig this a lot, and it's
$20.
And I think, and then that's again where you get, people asking for all the other extra stuff that we get with our $90 figures, like, because you're propping yourself up to that level. Yeah. You've already jumped in. You've already started out as a heavyweight. You haven't.
But Russ, like I said, I think there are now outlets where I can meet that need. It's just not going to be at the big box stores. So I now will be able to say, hey, you know what? Some of this .com stuff works. They don't mind spending a little bit more. We can think a little more radical. We can be a little more aggressive. What if we did do the thing that came with 100 different accessories? Would people buy it? Right? We'll find out.
But yes, no, I'm telling you, yes, they will buy it. I've been talking about toys on the internet for over 10 years. I know they're going to get it. They're going to do it.
So this is all just an experiment, and so the experiment's going to be going now for years and years and years. So we're going to be having some fun. We just peeled back, the curtain here. We're gonna. There's dozens more behind.
Okay, just to plant an earworm, I just wanted to necroplasm effects. Yeah, that's just another thing. Seeing some awesome necroplasm effects would just that's just the. I love what you're doing, and it's one of those things where you give a little bit, and I want to take more, and you give a little bit more, and I'm like, no, not enough. Give me more, give me.
And the thing is, Russ, I get it, and I applaud it, and I like the passion out of people. I am just as greedy a geek as anybody else, right? When I see that 2-hour movie and it ends and I loved it, I wanted it to be 15 minutes longer.
Yeah.
Or I'm already asking when's the sequel, right?
Right.
Or whenever your favorite artist leaves a book, you're like, oh my God, why don't you come back? I want it too, because when you get something that you like and you enjoy, you just want to get even more enjoyment out of it. So I'm not offended. I'm not offended by it. I just have to, at times, just sort of temper everybody and give them a bit of an education as to the reason and the rationale. It's not that I think it's a bad idea. Matter of fact, most of them are great ideas. It's just that there's a limitation on each one of the things you're doing at any given time for the character and the price that you're doing. That's it. It just there's a bit of a model I have to adhere to, and I can't just be completely reckless.
Right.
But thanks for the input, because I may be able to use it another day.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that creating something from nothing takes a long time, and there's a lot that goes into it, right? You've literally, in many ways, have created something from absolutely nothing. So that whole process.
I was a baseball player, and toy making is an inexact science, and it's sort of the frustrating part of it, because sometimes you do a toy and it comes out way better than you ever thought when you were making it, and other times you have a toy that you thought was going to be super cool, and by the time they paint it and they mold it, it doesn't even look like the actor. So I mean, like, there's lots of things that can go wrong, right, and it's frustrating because you've seen the right, and then you see the wrong, and you go, "What? It's the same people making it, the same factory sometimes making it." But it's just humanity, and just like sports figures, where you go out there and the baseball player goes up to the plate. Sometimes they hit a home run, sometimes they strike out, and sometimes they do something in between. Same player, same swing, same physics, and he just gets different results sometimes, and it's frustrating. But it's what makes the competition of coming back and doing it, because you just go, no, tomorrow's going to be my best day. Right. Or if even you had a great day, you want to replicate it because it felt great. And if you had a horrible day, you want to erase that, and you go as fast as possible. I got to play another game because I got to get rid of it. Toy making is the same way. As soon as you make one good toy, you want to make another one. And as soon as you make a bad toy, you want to make another one so they forget about that bad one. Right. And so you're never satisfied. We're all neurotics. We're never satisfied. There's always going to be a better toy tomorrow. Tomorrow's always going to be the best toy I'm ever going to make.
Awesome. That's great. I love that mentality behind everything. Is there any products coming out soon that you wanted to mention to the viewers to keep an eye out for? I'm sure scheduling as far as, manufacturing and releasing has changed. And
yeah, the only thing that I would say, and it's, I'll throw you a bit of a curveball using baseball metaphors again. And you may have seen it at Toy Fair, is we did this remote control shark.
Yes.
And so we put it out during the winter, and some of the stores said, we're not going to buy a lot because it's winter. Nobody's going to take this. Nobody has a pool. And it was one of the top RC remote control figures in that aisle, right? And it's just this funky, cool. It's very smooth the way the shark moves, right? And now, it now begs, can you do, crocodiles, and can you do koi fish, and can you do, dinosaurs or whatever else? But if nobody's seen sort of the video, just, I think we got something maybe on YouTube. I don't know. Go look it up. It's called Shark. We're quite proud of it. It's super generic. It's not tied to any property, but it's just something that, as toy makers, every now and then you just say, hey, we got these goofy ideas, and you throw them out there, and I'm quite proud of the way that it ended up coming out.
Yeah, I saw it on display. It's very natural looking the way it moves in the water. It's incredibly realistic. But but more of those are hitting the shelves now. Is that right? Or more of them are coming?
Yeah. We put out a decent amount. They blew out, and then we got another shipment coming because we sort of caught all the retailers by surprise, going, wow, like, you pulled this during the wintertime. We better stock up because summer's coming. There's going to be a lot of water around, right? People are going to go to lakes, or they can now go to a fountain or something. I mean, the weather's going to get nice. They're going to be able to get out of the house. So, anyways, just that, because again, the action figures we do, I think most people are usually, pretty knowledgeable about. This is just sort of off people's radars a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the name of the shark again? The exact
Shark.
Oh, just shark.
Twice. Shark.
Okay. Shark.
Yeah, shark. It's like shark. You put it back to back. Shark. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. I'll keep an eye out for the shark.
Yeah, and then we've got another. We haven't announced it completely, but I just saw the samples in a box, production samples of a generic line of toys aimed at sort of the budget buyer that will be selling to Walmart. That is just us coming up with crazy stuff. And because I used to look at a lot of generic toys that they have in the stores, and I was like, come on, we can do better than that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I can do better generic army men. I can do better generic robots. I can do better generic dinosaurs. I can do better generic, whatever it is. Give me the generic. I'll do a better generic, right? Even if it's made out of the same plastic, we'll sculpt it way better. I don't understand why it's cheap. You have to sculpt it bad. It's a weird thing to me. So anyways, the Walmart buyer gave us a challenge. You're always saying that. So it's like, go and make something then, Todd. So we came back with an idea for him, and he bought it. So we got to ship him here in the next couple months, and he's going to have our generic one. So when that comes, I'll show you, because some of it now with no royalties, right? No royalties. That means, again, I can give you more for less. So, shoot, we're going to give you, like, here's a 7-inch figure, $20. We're going to give you stuff like this for $20, right? We're going to go, and then the stuff that's this big compared to our action figures, right? Action figure, here's a 20. So this would be our $20 action figure right here. Cool, right? We're going to give you something this big, $9, $10, right? So it won't be a big brand or anything. It'll just be something cool. But again, with parents who are on a budget, right? They're going to go, hey, I can either get this thing for 20 or I can get this much plastic for half the price. Mm-hmm. Woo! Okay. So, anyways, when those come out, I'm hoping they do good because I got lots of generic ideas.
Well, that's a pretty fascinating attempt, or not attempt, but the idea behind going for it. I guess you just have to have your own business sense and that eye for the market and figuring out where you can kind of like hone in on and kind of like seize different parts of the toy market. On my end, it's pretty fascinating.
Or you just have to be delusional and overconfident, which I am. I don't know. I think I came out of the womb that way. My attitude is I can make a dollar toy and compare it to your dollar toy, and I'll make a better dollar toy, right? If you want me to make it $5, I'll make the best looking $5 toy. And if you want a $10, I'll make the 10. And Ross, if you want to give me 80 bucks, shit. And for one figure, shit. I'll show you what that thing looks like, right? That thing will almost dance. So to me, it's just a matter of everything doesn't have to look the same, because as you bring the price down, then I have to accommodate the box that I'm in. But if somebody said to me, hey, Todd, we need you to make this $2 shoot fluorescent kitty cat idea, right? And I go, well, who else is making one? Oh, Hasbro's going to make one, and Mattel will make one. Game on, because they may sell more, but mine will look better. I promise you, my $2 fluorescent kitty will look better than theirs, because I just think that artistically, and I'll spend more of my profits on it to give you more value. So to me, every one of these things I look at, I go, hey, if you're buying that, give me a crack at it, right? Give me a crack at it. So, but anyways, I'm just goofy. I'm competitive that way.
Well, I'm glad that you are. I'm very happy to see that. I'm an 80s, 90s kid, and I'm sure you've heard it countless times, but the very first book I picked up off the shelf, I was about 7 years old, and it was a Spider-Man comic drawn by you. Oh. And this whole time, seeing McFarlane toys come up in the 90s and everything, seeing the different changes, I remember getting scared at some of your, like, when I was younger. I remember like you having some really scary looking figures, and then I remember
I did my job.
Kiss figures. I was like, whoa, they're making Kiss figures, like, and just everything in between. It's just been amazing to see. So from my perspective, like, you're like the Stan Lee of the toy collectible industry, because I don't remember seeing collectibles like that until McFarlane Toys started putting them on the shelves. It was like 5 points of articulation, action figures like that. But then you got these freaky, detailed, sculpted collectibles that just came out of nowhere.
I did one of them at the begining.
Yeah,
only 5 moving parts, and this was like the deluxe at that point. But right. I think we had an impact in changing the reality of what action figures could possibly be, because I think the big companies were basically just taking the easy route. So I think that our presence came in and showed what was possible. And then since then, there's been now dozens of companies that have come along and have done great figures, whether they did it with their own ideas or they took a page from our playbook. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the standard of figures got better to all the collectors, which was really the goal at the end, because I was a geek and I want to collect better toys. So, if there's 100 companies that make better toys, that's better for me as a collector. So at the beginning, since I was sort of doing it on my own to start with, I probably got way more credit than I deserve. But now there's a lot of people doing really, really spectacular, good work, I think, in the action figure I own. We're all sort of the better for it. And again, if we had something to do with it, good on us. But now can't rest on our laurels, right? Because those young whippersnappers, right? They're doing really good work. I gotta keep up with them. So.
Right on, and it's great seeing you do it. It's awesome to see, and I'm just stoked for everything that's coming, and hope to see a whole ton of Spawn villains in the future. I mean, again, I want more. Yeah. But I thank you again for spending a good lot of time here on this.
Yeah, I'm looking at the time, going, I gotta get up those multi-packs. I said,
yeah, I'm sure you got to get some figures out there. So yeah.
No, remember I said the like they can't buy. I got people waiting to go. Todd, when you're done with this interview, we got to get those levels up today. So, okay. So that's the first thing I got to do right now.
All right, I'll let you get to it. Thanks again for your time. Thanks for being here.
All right,
and stay tuned, you guys.
All right, thanks for what you and everybody in fandom does.
Right on. Thank you. Take care. Hey, new ShartimusPrime videos. Hey, you should click one. Yeah, click on one of them. Or subscribe if you haven't.